welcome. Guys, here is another great success. I call it great. See, this candidate was just our student, I think about a month and a half before. The girls would have seen him. Look at this. So, the beauty of this man is I could see the way he was so focused, so serious. Trust me, the kind of questions he used to ask. He was so dedicated, and actually he was a bit restless to pass the SSB. I could make out. He must be wondering the kind of questions he used to ask. And guys, he has converted his failures into a great success. How do you call great success? Imagine he failed in 5 attempts. I'm proud of him. In spite of that, he did not lose his faith and confidence in himself. And that's why I like those candidates who fail yet convert that failure into success. जो हारी हुई बाजी को जीतता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं? तो guys, some of you know, their morale goes down once they fail in the SSB. So I always tell them, I am the one who also couldn't clear his SSB in the first attempt. So what? Okay, you have to thereafter prepare hard, find out your shortcomings, understand, do your self introspection and achieve that success. So he is going to share his success story to you.
I am Pavan Aditya, and I was a part of 166th course of SSB Sureshot Academy. So my journey began when I was an NCC cadet. Before that, I was from Sainik School. I joined Sainik School Kalikiri in 2014, and thereafter my journey in Sainik School, it was little bit difficult because I was unable to cope with the physical stress over there. So after 2 years, back in 2016, I dropped out from Sainik School. But my motivation for the armed forces, it continued to remain in my heart even after I left the Sainik School. So I continued doing my NCC in the Air Wing. So when I was a part of the NCC Air Wing, our NCC instructor, he used to explain about the techniques of flying, the principles behind flying, how the aircrafts are used in the Air Force. So after all that classes, after 2 years of experience in NCC, my motivation for joining the NCC has begun. So after my 10th in 2019, I started preparing for my NDA written examination. So that time I was preparing parallel for JEE exam and NDA as well. So during the written exam, my strategy was very simple. I felt I had given few mock tests before starting my preparation. And after giving the mock test, I was able to analyze my strengths and weaknesses. So my strength was mathematics especially and English. So I wanted to focus more on mathematics thereafter. And especially in NDA maths, speed is emphasized a lot because you have to give 120 questions in a span of 150 minutes. So the questions asked from the NDA mostly are from trigonometry topics like trigonometry, statistics, probability, and other calculus as well. So I focused more on these topics, and I had done the previous year question papers, due to which I was able to develop my mathematics portion as well. For mathematics, I have referred the R.S. Agarwal Mathematics for NDA or NA book by R.S. Agarwal back in 2020. That time COVID pandemic was going on, so I was preparing especially for mathematics because I felt it was the scoring session for myself. So my target was around scoring 200 in the mathematics section and 300 in the GAT section. So for English, the strategy is reading the newspapers. Firstly, reading the editorial newspaper of Hindu. Through that, you will be able to learn a lot of idioms and phrases. Apart from that, you can also improve your vocabulary. And once you do that, English does not come from only the newspaper but also from your communication. You have to listen to your the English lectures given in the YouTube. For example, I refer to the lot of videos by IAS interviews, the IAS interviews by toppers of civil services examination. I was listening to their interviews. So I was able to know what kind of English is required because you are an officer level candidate. So that kind of communication is required for your daily purposes. So English, you have to study newspaper and you have to read books as well. I personally read a lot of books like I would recommend to all of you one book, The Brave, which is the story about 21 Paramvir Chakra awardees. So that book will not only help you to improve your English, but also motivate you a lot. Because each and every story in that book is highly motivating. Let me tell you, because the way these soldiers fought, they knew that they're going to be killed in the end, but they did not lose their fort. So that was the level of courage they had in the end. So I would recommend this book to all of you. And coming back to English, reading books and then watching movies as well, English movies. Prefer watching English shows which will enhance your communication for written and the examination, written examination and SSB also. And now coming to the physics portion, physics, chemistry and biology. I read the NDA Pathfinder book, which was very helpful. For physics portion, you have to read a lot of, understand the concepts. The basic concepts start from the very basic, like the SI units of various quantities, what are the vector quantities, what are the derived quantities, like that. And you should know how the topics are connected with each other. For example, the gravitation part is there. Questions are asked in the gravitation part in the NDA examination. Very basic questions like how the formulas are interlinked, directly proportional and inversely proportional, and some principles as well, Kepler's law. So things like that. Now coming to chemistry, I would say it is not that much carrying weightage in the NDA. When I was giving, at least, chemistry was not having good weightage in the NDA exam, but you have to focus on it because it is a scoring section. Most of it is mostly applicable chemistry. For example, applications of various compounds in our daily life, uses of them in our daily life, and what can be the organic compounds, what are their hydrocarbons and all. So try to cover that syllabus as well. And coming to the biology, I have read the NCERT books of 8th, 9th and 10th, which were really helpful. You can make a notes for yourself. It's very small chapters because you have 5 to 6 chapters every year for every class from biology. So if you read those chapters, your concepts will be very clear. And coming to the GK portion, starting with the history. History, I have read again the NCERT books relating to the history, modern history especially. Modern history carries a lot of weightage in the NDA examination, especially the freedom struggle part, where the Gandhian era from 1915 till the 1947 part. So try to read a lot of information about that is being covered in these recent years. As I have observed, even in the NDA 146th paper, who was the president of some congress at that point? So the answer was Motilal Nehru. So such questions are being asked in the NDA written exam. And coming to geography, again read the NCERT books. Map pointing is very important. You should know the locations of various rivers, locations of plateaus, mountains, mountain ranges, the lakes in the world and oceans in the world. So try to read all such things, cover such things when it comes to NDA geography. Current affairs, as I have told, newspaper is important. Read the newspaper, you will cover a lot of things. Apart from that, read about defense exercises that are being held in various parts of the world. For example, India is carrying out defense exercises with Southeast Asian countries or South Asian countries or other Asian countries or American countries. So read those defense exercises and what are the recent developments in defense, the recent procurements, what projects the DRDO is working upon, and these are the things that you can cover. This applies to when I'm talking about GK, it applies to the CDS part as well, because mostly it is common. Hence, I would say that NCERT, newspaper and previous year questions are very important for NDA written. And coming to my personal journey, I have cleared the NDA written 3 times, 147, 148 and 149th course. So it was back in 2021 and 22, 3 attempts. And after that, I have attempted my AFCAT entrance examination in my first attempt. So for AFCAT, again, it is divided into 4 parts, as you all know, the reasoning part and mathematics, GK and GS. So again, emphasize more on, it is more about knowing your strengths and weaknesses, which topics you are strong upon, then work on them. If you are weak on, for example, my weak part was the general knowledge. So I dedicated a lot of time to general knowledge, reading the current affairs, because I felt around 5 to 6 questions are asked from current affairs in the AFCAT GK. So these are very important. When it comes to GK, work on the current affairs part, and reasoning, again, I have referred to the modern approach to verbal and non-verbal reasoning, and this book is very helpful for AFCAT reasoning. Mathematics, you can use, there are different topics when I compare to NDA and AFCAT, the topics are a little bit different. You get percentage and profit and loss, and time and distance, time and work. So that kind of topics are asked. So mostly which are covered in your elementary mathematics from your 10th. So if your basics are very strong, then AFCAT maths will become very easy for you, and you should be targeting at least 180, that is 60 questions per paper, in order to make sure that you are in the merit, as well as you are able to clear the written examination without any hesitation. Okay, so coming to my SSB journey, I was a member of 102 batch back in February 2022. So that time I was appearing for NDA 148. My board was in AFSB Mysore. So talking about my mistakes I made in the SSB, my first mistake was lack of self-introspection. For example, I was looking at the videos of recommended candidates from YouTube, and I was trying to I was trying to replicate their performance in the same way, not realizing that every candidate is unique and every quality of yours is different from others. So no two persons' mindsets are same. They are different in one aspect or the other. So make a self-introspection of yourself, and that is by, for example, how can we do self-introspection? You can talk to your parents, ask them about your strengths and weaknesses, and why do you think they feel like that? Even that questions are asked. For example, if I say my father tells me to work on my physical fitness, so why does he think like that? So these are the backup questions that are asked in the interview. So you have to focus on such things. So now coming to my second mistake was definitely my physical fitness, which I did not work due to some medical conditions. But if you are going for the armed forces, you have to be physically fit, because I was having the perception that once I clear the SSB, I'll be joining the academy and I will get fit there. So it does not work that way. You have to work on your fitness right from your written examination days itself, because when you go to SSB, the task, especially the GTO days, they are very tiring, and you have to attend one task after the other. So you have to be physically fit, and especially if you're going for Air Force, the obstacles are very difficult. The rope climb, the monkey crawl, they're very tough. So you have to work on them, work on the physical fitness. And the third mistake I have done was relating to my current affairs. I did not read that much of current affairs during my NDA days. So these three were my main mistakes when it comes to my previous attempts. Apart from that, my sincere suggestion for you all is that relating to SSB, when you are in the 5-day procedure, you got screened in and you are doing well, do not think about the result. This is commonly said by everyone, but let me tell you, when you are in the SSB or in the room with your group mates, there might be a discussion that this candidate has done well, this candidate has not done well. So you do not know what the assessor is thinking. You might think you have done really well, but the case is not the same. So when you are in the room, do not talk about how your performance was and what your task would be on the next day. Instead, enjoy the time with your friends, play games, watch TV. That is what I have done, because in my previous attempts, during our stay, I was very nervous about the next day. I was thinking what will happen, what the interviewing officer will ask. You can worry, but not too much. So that should not take away your time from socializing with your group mates. When you're with your group, talk to them as much as possible and interact with them, get to know about them, because that will help you a lot to build cooperation between the PGT and HGT tasks like that. So that is my sincere suggestion. Focus on the process, and once the task is done, for example, you are done with your group discussion, forget about the group discussion. Think about the GPE. Okay, think about like how can I get better in the GPE, and try to get better strategies. For example, GPE is all about how you prioritize your problems, how you manage each problem for each priority, how you dedicate your group, because you are given a group of 8 people as you have already practiced it. So how you divide the group and how you do things like that. So keep it organized. And another advice is that stay punctual and stay. There are complex things in the SSP. For example, be it the lecturate, you have to speak about for 3 minutes. So my strategy was that, be it any topic, I will divide it into X number of parts. For example, the topic is a social issue. Let's say the topic is child labor. So you can divide the topic like the definition of child labor according to the legal terms. If you know, you can add, or according to your own self, what you think about child labor. And apart from that, the second part would be the causes of child labor. What could be the cause? Be it the lack of parental guidance, lack of parental support, poverty, and things like that. And after the causes, you can explain about the consequences. What impact does child labor have on our present economy? And fourth one could be, what could be the solution? What can be done by the government? What can be done by the corporations? What can be done by the children and the parents? And the fifth one could be your conclusion. You can draft a small, your own personal opinion about child labor. And so it is about dividing. The lecturate strategy is all about dividing the lecturate and explaining each part in detail. And now coming to my command task, it's about being cool. The GTO will try to put a lot of pressure on you. And as I was there on the command task, he was trying to break all the ways, because I felt I have done well in the previous days. So he called me at the last, and he told me to use only one subordinate instead of two. And he also broke my plank, and all this is because to try to put pressure on you. So each and every time, your focus should be how I can get the solution, not on, okay, this is problematic, this is getting problematic. Do not complain about what is happening. At one point, when he broke all the ways, there was no solution left. But I was still looking for some solution. I was still trying to connect the bridge. So that is the kind of attitude you should have. Always try to give a solution, that never give up attitude. You cannot say that, sir, I'm done, I cannot give any solution for this. Try to give a solution. Eventually the GTO will realize that there is no solution. So that is what happens in your command task. When the pressure is put upon you, do not get nervous, do not feel pressurized. Try to get the solution. And you might be knowing about the cantilever concept, the ropes, support, stopper. You might be knowing about that. Otherwise, I will teach in the later part. So when it comes to the cantilever part, always try to get the bridge, and use of ropes is also very important in the SSB. And coming to the obstacles, beat the obstacles. The first one is your safety. Safety is very important, let me tell you, because that gives you, if you're not careful about your body, then that gives a bad impression for the GTO. So take care about the danger that is happening in the obstacles, the heights and all. Whatever instructions are being given to you, listen to them very carefully and follow them. Because he will explain you the technique of doing the obstacles even before you attempt them. So you can listen to them and listen properly and catch those small hints of how you can do the obstacles. Coming to the final group task, again, give ideas and try to contribute as much as possible. So my personal concept for GTO is that when you are in the group task, when you are with the group, you should be doing two things, one or the other. Either you should be doing something or you should be giving an idea. If you are giving an idea, then it's good. Your ideas are getting implemented in the group task. That is good. And if you're not getting an idea, it's okay. It does not matter as much, because not in every task you will be getting an idea. So one task or the other you will be blank. So that time your group members will be helping you. So listen to them, do not disturb them. And if they're telling you to connect the bridge in some way, tie the rope in some way, listen to them and implement their ideas. So that shows that you are a cooperative person. Apart from that, another rule is that try to stay as cool as possible, and take the initiative of in the group discussion also. If the group is distracting from the topic, take the initiative to get the group back on topic. Just inform them that we are going distracted and we can come back to the topic as much as possible. And as I said, GTO is all about, again, group cooperation, the way you influence the group, because you have to find a good camaraderie with them. The GTO preparation starts not on the day 2 or on the day the GTO is happening, the day before the GTO, because in the room you will be given your personal rooms. You will have the time to speak to your group mates, talk to them, make a good relationship with them, and that is somehow reflected in your GTO, because people will listen to you. That is what happened in my previous attempt also. Talk to them as much as possible, socialize with them, make a good impression, and that will help you in the GTO. And coming to my psychology testing, it was, for example, the TAT examination is there, the thematic apperception test. Observe the pictures properly. As Kavita ma'am used to say, I was having the habit of looking at the face of the main characters and writing the story. So you should not do it like that way. Try to make a full circle of the picture. Observe the picture in a full circle and then try to write the story on it. So that will be very helpful to capture those minute details of the stories. And when you're writing the story, structure it properly. For example, you have to involve yourself in the situation. Let's say you are writing a research paper. I have seen that, I have observed that the person is sitting with a group of people. I perceived that it is a library. So what I got was what led to the situation. For example, he is a research, he has writing habits. So he has a passion in research papers and writing articles. So that time he was like, he went to the library, he got a small team with him, and then they decided upon the topic. After that, they did a lot of research. What are the positive aspects of that topic, negative aspects, and what can be done by the people in order to improve that particular topic. And you can also talk about why, for example, it is a social issue. Let us say it is an artificial intelligence. What are the pros of artificial intelligence? What are the cons? You have to mention that everything about your story, not the actual things, but for example, Ram is writing researching about the positives of the artificial intelligence and the negatives of artificial intelligence, and he also writes about how people are using it, its role in the modern society, and you have to mention such little things, because the story before I used to write 7 to 8 lines only. I thought it was sufficient, but now I am writing around 12 lines of story, 10 to 12 lines, which is actually very good, and it is a recommended strategy. You have to write 10 to 12 lines of story, structure it properly, and use simple English. Simple words are much understandable by the officer, by the assessor. So that is about TAT. VAT, when it comes to word association test, it's about writing observatory lines. For example, you're writing a factual sentence. Let's say India is having 28 states. This is a factual sentence. If you write India is united by 28 states, this is observatory. This shows that you are appreciating the unity of India. This example was given to me by Kavita ma'am. So I got the difference between the factual sentence and the observatory sentence. And apart from that, do not write any proverbs or the suggestive sentences like hard work leads to success. Those things are okay, but not every time. Do not write if we work hard we succeed. Do not write any pronouns in the sentences. Do not write myself, me, and such things. Apart from that, if you write observatory, like they will be forming good sentences. Even if you have a negative word, attach the negative word to a positive word and write a positive sentence. And at any cost, do not write a negative word in the VAT. Coming to the SRTs, it's about forming the actions, writing the actions. You have to stretch the actions as much as possible. Write 4 to 5 actions when it comes to the SRT. I was writing like he used to convince his parents and he used to go to the college. It is not like that. You have to list how you would convince, like your method of convincing your parents. So that you have to be writing in the SRT. So actions, they should not be vague. Elaborate them as much as possible, your methods, your small details that you would be doing in your real life. SDT again, it's about the self-introspection, as I said before. What your parents think about you, go and ask them. My sincere suggestion, there is nothing to fake about it. If you feel that there are any weaknesses, you can work upon them, okay, and you can mention those things as well. There is nothing wrong in that, because no one is perfect. So if you are being versatile, if you are being fluid in the SDT, that's very good. And when you are memorizing all the SDTs, you are able to save some time. So before you go to the SSB, memorize your SDT, because the questions are remaining constant. And hence you can say that whatever sentences are there, you'll be able to write them in a less time. For example, 15 minutes is total time for the SDT. So if you write that in 10 to 12 minutes, you're saving some time. And that time you can use it in some other test. So which is very helpful in the SDT as well. And apart from that, when it comes to your blank story, make it realistic. Do not add anything visual in that. The same principles apply in the blank story as well as in the TAT. So observe the picture, observe your own life. If possible, write your own life as well. What inspired you to join the armed forces or things like that. So make it realistic as well. Something that you can relate to yourself. Apart from writing something which is not relatable to you. And coming to my preparation for interview, when I was giving my Mysore interview back in 4th April 2022. So that time I was not much prepared, NDA attempt. So I was preparing everything about the world. Like I was preparing about the current affairs, the national news, international news, what is happening in the state, and what is happening in the geopolitical arena, what is happening in the defense arena, and things like that. But I was not studying about my own self. which is very important because the questions asked to me, 90% were from my life story itself. They were from the PIQ, and I was just reading all these things, but I did not expect such easy questions in my interview, so which I could not answer them. So have a very clear mindset about your own self, about your journey towards this point, whatever you have done to be fit for the armed forces, whatever efforts you have put in to be eligible for the armed forces. So always have a clear mindset regarding that. Apart from that, once you learn about your own self, your PIQ and all, whatever weaknesses you have. For example, my weakness during the time was physical fitness. So I started playing football with my friends. So you can mention such things in interview, which gives a good impression. But if you're saying that you're not working on it and you're giving excuses, then that does not give you a good impression with the interviewer. So it's okay to have weaknesses, but working on them is very important. And as I said, your participation in sports, in NCC, every such thing matters a lot. Because if I look at my PIQ form right now, my academics are completely full. I have good academic career, and I have done well in the sports. I have been a national player, and NCC, extracurricular activities, essay writing and stuff. So I have covered each and every little thing. So when you are in your real life as well, try to be more participative rather than someone who is more with the books. So be an outdoor person, that is my sincere suggestion. Play sports as much as you can, be into activities, organize your college fest or whatever. Do those small activities that that people do not usually make. Take the initiate yourself, and just be fearless, I would say, because in my 5th attempt I was very desperate to make it, because after a long time, this is my 5th attempt, and my 4th one was in Varanasi back in my NDA days. So first during the graduation I wanted to make it this time itself. So every task, once the task is done, do not relax, because my group mates were telling me that Pavan, you are doing really well, you'll get recommended. But I was telling them that this task is still left. I want to do well in this task. Whatever has happened, good or bad, I'm forgetting about it. So the next task is in my hands. I have to give my best in that also. So that should be the approach. And never calculate your chances. As regarding the boards as well, I have heard a lot about boards. Even before going to Guwahati, I heard that Guwahati is a board of washouts, and they recommend only 1 or 2 persons. So my mindset was, if one person is getting recommended, I should be that one person. So that was my mindset. And only 2 persons got recommended out of 64, and I was one of them. So you should have a mindset of that nature. You should never complain that, okay, this is a tough board, so next time I will be seeing. No, give your best fight. That is what is seen in a soldier. Even if you are losing the war, you have to give your best fight. That is one thing I learned from the stories of Paramveer Chakra awardees. They were not giving up their post, especially the Major Shaitan Singh stories or Major Dan Singh Thapa story. I request you to all read that stories, because they are so motivating, and though they are so inspiring that they knew that they are going to lose their lives, but they did not give up. So that is the kind of attitude you should maintain in the real life also, because I used to think that after joining the armed forces I'll be a brave person, I'll be changing myself. No, but you have to start doing things from the real life as well. Before your SSB also, in your, for example, you're organizing a college fest, try to stay cool. If you are visualizing that, okay, I'm an officer right now, an officer does not get frustrated at someone else's decision. He goes and talks to them, he cooperates with them and tries to get to a common ground. So always visualize yourself that, okay, if I'm an officer, what does an officer do at this situation in your life? So that is one thing that I have done really well. And regarding the decisions of my life as well, each and every decision, I used to think like an officer itself. And that soon became a reality, that in the SSB, I was really well. I was doing really good in the SSB. And I did not find any flaw in my performance, to be honest, except for the command task. So if one task does not go well, it's okay, don't be disappointed, and focus on the other task. The only time you have to think about your performance is before your conference, because during your conference you might be asked questions about your stay in the 5 days, how your performance was, how you would rate yourself in all the 3 aspects. So things like that. Only during those 10 minutes you have to think about your performance, not in any other time. This is my message to all of you. And personally, I'm really proud of you to see these many candidates who are willing to join the armed forces. It takes a lot of courage, to be a part of this, to take a decision like this. It takes a lot of courage. So I'm really proud of you, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you very much.